It's always the sounds that get you first, not the big ones, not the howls or screams you're expecting from a place like this. It's the small sounds, a twig snapping just out of reach of your light, a whisper that rides the edge of the wind, so faint you almost convince yourself you imagined it. Almost. They say if you listen closely enough in these woods, you can hear them, the lost souls, the ones who never made it out. They also say that if you're foolish enough to come looking, there's a path here, a path that doesn't lead out, but down, deep down. They call it the 7 gates of hell, and tonight we're trying to find them, before they find us. The legend is simple, and honestly that's what makes it so terrifying. Hidden somewhere in these remote woods in York County, Pennsylvania are 7 gates. The story goes that if you manage to pass through all 7, you'll be standing at a literal doorway to hell. But here's the part people whisper about in the dark. No one has ever made it past the 5th gate. At least no one who's come back to tell the tale. We're here to separate the facts from the folklore, to walk the path ourselves and find out what's really haunting these woods. Is it a demonic portal? The tortured spirits of a cursed asylum? Or is it something else entirely? The power of a story so dark it's physically stained the place where it's told. Every great horror story has a beginning, right? A seed of darkness where a terrifying myth can grow. For the 7 gates of hell, that seed is a story of a tragic, fiery, and brutal event. The most common version, the one you hear around campfires, starts with an insane asylum. According to the legend, deep in these woods, far from any prying eyes, stood a massive, isolated asylum for the criminally and violently insane. This was a place where the worst of the worst were sent to be forgotten. The stories describe it as cruel and inhumane, where treatments were basically torture, and the staff were just as disturbed as the patients. The legend says the pressure inside those walls just built and built until one night, it finally exploded. A fire broke out, chaos everywhere. In the smoke and confusion, a bunch of the most dangerous patients escaped into the forest. A massive manhunt was organized, with local authorities and terrified townsfolk sweeping through the woods. But this wasn't a rescue mission, it was an extermination. The legend claims many of the escaped patients were hunted down and brutally killed, their bodies left right where they fell. Some were even lynched from the very trees that are still standing here today. The story ends with the idea that the spirits of these souls, denied any peace in life or death, are the ones now haunting these woods. The 7 gates, they say, were either put up by the authorities to contain the evil, or they were built by something much older, and the tragedy just supercharged them. There's another version of the story too. This one isn't about a big disaster, but about one twisted mind. It talks about a reclusive doctor who lived out here. Some say he was a brilliant but disturbed man, obsessed with the occult. In his madness, he supposedly designed and built a series of gates on his property, each one a step in some bizarre ritual to open a portal to the underworld. He wasn't trying to keep something in, he was trying to let something out. These stories are chilling, they're detailed, they're visceral, and they feel like the kind of dark history that defines a truly haunted place. They're the perfect, terrifying backstory for a place called the 7 Gates of Hell, and they're almost completely made up. This is where the spooky folklore path takes a hard turn away from the road of documented history. As investigators, our job isn't just to chase ghosts, it's to chase the truth. So, we dug into the official records of Pelham Township in York County. We talked to local historical societies, to archivists. We searched for any mention, any whisper of a massive asylum, a big fire, or a bloody manhunt. And what we found was nothing. Every official source is clear, there's no evidence an asylum of any kind ever existed in these woods. There was no fire, no escaped patients, no brutal manhunt. The entire foundation of the legend, the very event that supposedly created this haunting, seems to be a total fabrication. It's a ghost story in the truest sense, a tale with no body. Even the story of the gate-building doctor has no basis in historical records. He's as much of a phantom as the spirits he was supposedly trying to summon. The road that leads here is now officially named Trout Run Road. For years though, everyone called it Toad Road. A lot of people think the name was changed to get away from the dark reputation to scrub the legend off the map. But even that's murky. There's no official record saying the name was changed because of the legend. So that leaves us with a really unsettling question. If the asylum never existed, the fire never happened, and the doctor is a work of fiction, then what is going on out here? Why does this one patch of woods have such a powerful, lasting reputation for being a gateway to hell? Why do people keep coming back, telling the same stories, and having terrifying, unexplainable experiences? A place doesn't need a documented tragedy to be haunted. Sometimes the power of a story is enough. Belief is a powerful engine. When enough people pour their fear and their energy into a single spot on the map, that place can change, it can become charged, the legend itself can become the ghost. And that's what we're here to investigate. We're not just looking for the ghosts of asylum patients that never existed. We're looking for the echo of a story that has taken on a life of its own. Every legend has its rules, a kind of ritual that turns a simple ghost story into a terrifying quest. The Seven Gates of Hell is no different. The folklore doesn't just give you a haunted place, it gives you a challenge, a dangerous game with the highest possible stakes. You have to understand these rules before you take a single step past the first gate because, well, according to the myth, one wrong step could last forever. First rule, it's all about how you see the gates. The legend says you can only see the first gate during the day. It's right there, plain to see, usually identified as a simple metal gate at the start of a path. It's the invitation, the starting line. But the others, gates 2 through 7, are hidden. They're only supposed to appear at night. To find them, you have to go into the woods after dark with nothing but a flashlight and whatever nerve you have left. The sequence is everything. You have to find them in order. You can't just stumble upon gate 4 before you've passed through 3. It's a linear descent, a path that reveals itself one step at a time as you go deeper into the woods and supposedly deeper into your own fear. And this is where the warnings get serious. The heart of the legend, the claim that gives it so much power, is that no one has ever made it through the 7th gate. In fact, the story is even more specific. No one has ever made it past the 5th gate and come back. What happens between gate 5 and 6 is anyone's guess. Some say you're just lost to the woods forever, becoming another one of those whispering voices. Others believe you're literally dragged into the underworld. But every version of the story agrees. The 5th gate is the point of no return. To pass through a gate is to accept what comes next. Each one supposedly seals the path behind you, making it impossible to turn back. With every gate you pass, you're getting further from the world you know. The woods themselves are supposed to change. It gets quieter, the air gets colder, the dark gets darker. The natural world fades and the supernatural takes over. This whole structure is what turns the legend from a campfire story into a dare. It's a challenge issued from the shadows. It tempts you to try to see how far you can push it. It explains why so many people have been drawn here. So, before we start, we have to acknowledge the power of these rules. We know the history is folklore, but we're going to treat the legend's rules with respect. In a place like this, it's hard to tell where the story ends and reality begins. We'll search for the gates in order, at night, and we'll be paying very close attention if and when we get near the 5th. We're not just exploring a place, we're stepping inside a story, and we have to play by its rules. Our journey starts here, on Trout Run Road in Hellam Township. It's late afternoon, the sun's getting low, and the woods are lit up in gold and orange. The air is crisp, but there's a heaviness to it. A weird sense of waiting that just hangs over this place. Even in the daylight you can feel it. The first gate is easy to find, just like the legend says. It's a wide, modern-looking metal gate blocking a dirt road that disappears into the forest. To anyone driving by, it's nothing special. To us, it's the starting line. This is gate number 1. In the daylight it feels almost boring, deceptively normal. But that's an important part of the process. Before we can figure out what's abnormal, we have to get a baseline of what's normal. We take out our equipment. First, the K2 meter. We use these to detect spikes in the electromagnetic field, or EMF. The theory is that a spirit or some kind of paranormal energy might mess with the field and make the meter light up. We sweep the whole area around the gate. Nothing. The meter stays quiet, just a single green light, next to the spirit box. This is basically a modified radio that scans through channels really fast, creating a river of white noise. The idea is that spirits can use that energy and static to form words and talk to us. We run a session for about 10 minutes asking questions. Is anyone here? Is this the entrance? All we get back is static. Finally, a thermal camera, which lets us see heat signatures. We scan the woods, the gate, looking for cold spots. Sudden, unexplained drops in temperature that are often linked to paranormal activity. Everything looks normal. The woods are just woods. The gate is just a gate, for now. This baseline is critical. It shows that right now there's nothing weird happening, no weird energy that could give us false readings later tonight. The stage is set. As the sun finally goes down, the whole vibe of this place changes. The golden light is gone, replaced by long, dark shadows. It gets colder. The sounds change. The birds are quiet, and now all you hear are crickets and the rustle of things you can't see. The woods, which felt neutral an hour ago, now feel like they're watching you. The trees look like skeletal fingers against the sky. That normal-looking gate doesn't look so innocent anymore. In the dark, it looks like a real barrier between our world and whatever is in there. The legend says the other 6 gates only show up at night. So, with our flashlights on, we get ready to cross the line. We take one last look back, then unlatch the first gate and step through. The investigation has really begun. The second we pass through that first gate and it clicks shut, the world feels different. It's psychological for sure, but it feels physical too. The air goes still. The sounds from the road fade out way too fast, like the trees just soaked them up. We're on the path, we're committed. Our entire world is just the small circle of light from our flashlights. We walk for a few minutes in silence, just letting our senses adjust. Every little sound feels huge. We stop in a small clearing a few hundred feet in and turn on the spirit box. Is there anyone here who wants to talk to us? Shh. Go. Home. Could just be random noise, us hearing what we want to hear. We keep going. We're here to learn your story. We don't mean any disrespect. Just then, the K2 meter in my hand, which has been totally quiet, flashes. 1 light, 2, 3 lights. It flickers between yellow and orange for a few seconds and then goes back to green. I freeze. Did you see that? Everyone saw it. A definite spike. We look around. There are no power lines, nothing that should cause that. It's our first piece of data that we can't easily explain. We push deeper into the woods. The legend doesn't give you a map, it just says the path will show itself. We spend almost an hour looking for anything that could be the second gate and find nothing but trees. Your mind starts to play tricks on you. Every shadow starts to look like a person. You think you hear your name on the wind, and then we see it. Up ahead, almost swallowed by the woods, is another gate. This one is older, rustier, and chained shut. It's sagging on its hinges, blocking a path that's been overgrown for years. This has to be the second gate. As we get closer, the energy feels different, colder. I pull out the thermal camera and scan the gate. Most of the area is cool blue and green, but right in the middle of the gate, there's a shape. It's vague, but it's noticeably colder than everything around it. A human-sized patch of deep purple, a cold spot. I check the air temperature with a digital thermometer 45 degrees. I pointed at the ground, the trees, all in the mid-40s, but when I pointed at the air right in front of the gate, the reading drops to 38 degrees. A 7-degree drop in one specific spot for no reason. We decide to set up our gear facing the gate, just watching and listening. Suddenly a sharp metallic clang cuts through the night. It sounded exactly like someone hit the chain on the gate. We all jump, flashlights whipping towards the sound. The gate is perfectly still. The chain hasn't moved, but we all heard it. We feel this mix of dread and excitement. Something is happening here. The history might be fake, but the experiences people report are real. We're living them. So we press on, looking for the third gate. The woods get thicker, the path harder to follow. It feels like the forest itself is trying to stop us. This is where the legend really gets in your head. You feel like you're trespassing, going deeper into a place you shouldn't be. After another 30 minutes we find it. The third gate isn't really a gate. It's two huge ancient stone pillars covered in moss, standing on either side of the path like sentinels. They look like they were once the entrance to some grand estate that the forest has completely eaten. This must be Gate 3. The air here is even heavier. The quiet is oppressive. We try the spirit box again. Who is here with us? Leave. The voice is so clear, so different from the usual spirit box chatter that we all just go silent. We look at each other. Do we listen? That felt personal, aggressive. All the stories about this place, about people getting lost or feeling this overwhelming dread, they suddenly feel very, very real. We found 3 gates. We've captured EMF spikes, a big temperature drop, a sound we can't explain, and now a direct hostile voice. But the legend says the real danger is still ahead. We have a decision to make. Do we turn back, or do we push on toward the 4th and the infamous 5th gate? The darkness feels like it's waiting for our answer. That warning from the spirit box, leave, is just hanging in the air. For a minute, we actually consider it. You're supposed to respect the warnings you get, whether they're from a ghost or just your own gut. But we've come this far. The pull of the legend, of finding out what's really here, is too strong. We decide to keep going, but now we're on high alert. The path from the 3rd gate to the 4th is the hardest yet. It's barely a path anymore, just a trail winding steeply downhill. It's during this hike that we find the 4th gate, and it's the most unsettling one so far. It's an old wrought iron gate, half buried in the dirt and tangled up in thorns, like the forest is trying to swallow it. It's not blocking anything, it's just there. It feels wrong. We don't stick around. The oppressive feeling is getting worse with every step. Our goal is the 5th gate, the point of no return. The legend often says the 5th gate is near a creek or a swampy area. So we follow the land, heading down toward a low spot where we can hear the faint sound of running water. As we get closer, a foul smell hits us. Stagnant water and rot, but there's something else mixed in, something almost chemical. And then we see it. It is not a gate made by people. It's a natural archway formed by dead skeletal trees that have fallen against each other. The branches are twisted and black like charred bones. It looks like a mouth. A gaping maw leading into pure blackness. This is it. This feels like the place from the stories. This is the 5th gate. The energy here is insane. Before we're even 20 feet away, our K2 meters all light up and stay lit, screaming with solid red lights. There's a massive, constant electromagnetic field here. Our walkie-talkies, which were working fine, let out a loud burst of static and then die. My full-spectrum camera starts to glitch, the screen flickering like crazy before it just shuts off. All of our batteries are draining at once. It's a classic sign of a deeply active location. We're left with just our flashlights. The air is freezing, the kind of cold that gets deep in your bones. I can see my breath, even though it was well above freezing just a little ways back. We decide to try one last thing, an EVP session. We just ask questions into the silence and record the audio, hoping to catch a voice. My digital recorder is somehow still working. I hold it up. Is this the final gate for us? Are we allowed to go any further? We stand in absolute, terrifying silence for a full minute. The only sound is my own heart pounding, and then we hear it. Not through a device. It's a sound in the woods, just past the archway of trees. It's the sound of a woman crying. Not a faint, ghostly moan. This is a raw, agonizing sob of pure despair. It sounds so real, so human that for a second fear is replaced by concern. Is someone actually hurt out here? Hello? Is someone there? Do you need help? The crying stops. Instantly. The silence that rushes back in is 100 times more terrifying than the crying was, and then a new sound starts. a low, guttural growl that seems to come from right inside that archway of trees. It's a menacing animal sound, filled with so much hate it feels like you can feel it hit you. That's it, that's the line. This isn't an investigation anymore. This is fight or flight, and every single instinct in our bodies is screaming, flight! There's no discussion. We turn, and we run. We scramble back up the hill, away from that gate of trees, away from the growl. We don't stop running until we're back at the third gate, lungs burning, minds just reeling. We don't know what was in that darkness, we don't know what made that sound. But we know one thing for sure, the legend is right. You do not pass the fifth gate. We're walking back now toward the first gate, toward the living world. Our equipment is still dead, the woods are silent again. But the silence is different now, it doesn't feel empty, it feels like it's watching. We came here to investigate a legend, to find the truth. But what do you do when the experience is more terrifying than the story? The asylum may not be real, but something is haunting these woods. Something ancient, powerful, and hostile. What do you think it is? Is it a tulpa, a physical being created by decades of fear and storytelling, a natural phenomenon we just don't understand yet? Or is it something else, something genuinely demonic that's claimed this land? Let us know what you think in the comments. We read all of them. And if you believe there are dark places in this world that we can't explain, and you want to join us as we explore them, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell. You won't want to miss where we go next. Driving away from Trout Run Road, that feeling of being watched finally starts to fade, replaced by just exhaustion and disbelief. We keep replaying the night in our heads. The history is clear. The asylum story that started the whole Seven Gates legend is a myth. But our experience tells a very different story. The EMF spikes, the cold spots, the disembodied voice, the equipment dying, and those terrifying sounds at the fifth gate. We didn't imagine those things. It makes you wonder about so many of these modern urban legends, places wrapped in chilling stories of curses and tragedy that you can't actually verify with historical facts. Yet just like these woods, they are hotspots for paranormal claims. It makes you think about a wild possibility that a place can be haunted by a story, that if enough people focus their belief and fear on one spot for generations, it can create a real energy, an echo that starts making its own noise. Maybe the search for the seven gates of hell was never about finding a literal door to another dimension. Maybe it's about the doors we create in our own world. The asylum story, even though it was false, gave people's fear an anchor. It gave a name to the natural creepiness of a dark, lonely forest. And over time, maybe that story just festered, attracting or creating something that now lives there. We came here to find the seven gates of hell. We found a story built on lies, but an experience that felt terrifyingly true. We found out that you don't need a documented ghost to have a real haunting. Sometimes the darkest things aren't the spirits of the dead, but the living, breathing power of a story that refuses to die. And as it gets stronger with every new person who walks that path, you have to ask, is the legend just describing the gates, or is it still building them?